Okay, before we begin this video, I'd like to say that it was inspired by J-Rose's videos in which he played Red and Blue as well as Pokemon Yellow with minimum battles rules, so you should check out those videos of his. Because that really got me thinking as to whether or not I could beat Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire with the same rules. Thing is, Pokemon Sapphire was the first Pokemon game I ever played, and so I kind of have a special fondness for it. As it is though, I won't actually be playing Pokemon Sapphire in this run, I'll be playing Pokemon Emerald. I think Pokemon Emerald is the definitive version of the game's Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. I also played it a lot, so we're sticking with Emerald. And yeah, another shout out to J-Rose for inspiring this run. Check out his videos, links are in the description. Let's just go over the rules. First of all, we have to get through the game with the minimum number of battles possible. That means we won't battle any trainers we do not have to. And also we won't rematch any of them with the exception of the mandatory rival fights. If there are two possible trainers we can fight, we will fight the one which has fewer Pokemon, but this issue only comes up once in the entire run. Next, no items can be used in battle, but items outside of battle are allowed, and held items are allowed as well. No glitches or exploits. If we encounter wild Pokemon, we have to run away from it first turn, else it counts as an encounter. Also, no using the daycare. Finally, I define the end of the game as beating Steven, not just beating the Elite Four. Given that we're playing Emerald, I feel like that's a reasonable end goal to set here. I mean, even in Gold and Silver you can get the credits to roll by beating Lance, but the main boss of the game is still Red, and in the same way Steven is the main boss of Pokemon Emerald. So I feel like it just makes sense like that. So let's start. Our very first problem arises when the game won't actually take my full name, so I have to call myself Drechenaux throughout the run. Next, I just want to throw in a little, factoid here. The male character in Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald named Brendan actually has black hair. The white thing on top of his head is actually a hat. And you can see in this clip from the manga where he grows out his hair a little, he has black hair. So yeah, that kind of blew my mind when I found out, so in case anyone didn't know, let me just throw that out there. For our starter, we pick a Mudkip, and you kind of have to pick a Mudkip, otherwise you'll have to catch a Pokemon to use Surf and Waterfall, and that adds another battle, so yeah, you have to pick a Mudkip. We can't actually run away from the Zigzagoon, so we have to fight it, and that is our first battle of this run. Next is our first rival battle with May, and we basically just use Tackle until we win. You have to win this because otherwise you'll have to fight May again and that'll count as another battle. So, remember to save throughout the run. That's an important thing actually. Because it's very easy to run into a trainer in Pokemon Emerald unexpectedly. So yeah, save throughout the game. The next battle is Youngster Calvin, which I beat easily with Tackles again. I pick up some berries which we can use as held items, particularly the Oran berries. The next battle is against the Team Aqua Grunt in Petalburg Woods. I thought I might actually lose this one, given how low level we are, but we managed to win. Now in Ruby and Sapphire, trainers like the twins here wouldn't challenge you unless you talk to them first, but in Emerald they will challenge you if you walk past them. Unless of course you don't have another Pokemon like we don't. Though the twins aren't mandatory. I pick up the Quick Claw, which is, I think, the most important held item in the entire game, at least for this run. There are no mandatory trainers in Roxanne's gym, so I go ahead and try to battle Roxanne herself. Full disclaimer here, I expected to lose, but I somehow managed to win on my very first try. I didn't even have Water Gun, so I used up all my Mud Slaps against the first Geodude, and had to take it out with Tackle when I ran out of Mud Slaps, but that gave me enough EXP to level up and learn Water Gun, which one-shots the next Geodude. And with Water Gun I beat the Nose Pass because Roxanne doesn't spam Rock Tomb like she usually does, and goes with stupid moves like, Harden and Tackle for some reason. That brings us to a total of 5 battles after being the first gym. Not bad, and I was kind of lucky, but there was one more trainer we could fight. You see, you have to fight this hiker later on anyway, so if I couldn't beat Roxanne, I would have just beat him first to get enough EXP to get at least Water Gun. And of course you have to fight the Aqua Gun again, and he's no problem. May challenges you to another battle, but you can just say no to that. And there are no required trainers in Brawly's gym, so I try to fight Brawly, but I get beat easily, so I just move on. We can fight him later. I give the letter to Steven and then make my way towards Slateport, where I go to deliver the package we got. Here we have two mandatory battles against these two Aqua Grunts, and you can't save in between them. So this was actually kind of hard given how low level we are, but it only took a few tries. There are two more mandatory trainers before you have to fight May for the second time. And here as a side note, I just want to say that this trainer, PokeFan Isabel, is very annoying. And I know it's a meme where Youngster Joey keeps calling you, talking about his Rattata. And in Emerald, she's the equivalent of Youngster Joey, and just kept on calling me at the worst possible times, like when I'm trying to avoid a trainer. You'll notice that I didn't evolve my Mudkip. That's because Marshtomp is going to be 4 times weak to Grovile's Absorb. Mudkip is only 2 times weak. I thought Mudkip would be better at the time, but the strategy doesn't work mainly because while Mudkip can handle 3 absorbs from full health, he rarely is at full health when he gets to Grovile because the Wingull is hard to take out. Sometimes even the Wingull took us out, so I gave up after a couple of attempts and tried my luck against Brawly. As you can see, it kind of goes well. While Machop is hard to deal with, the Meditite is easy since it always uses Focus Punch. You can keep using Water Gun to take it out. But eventually the Makahita always took us out, and I eventually even gave up on this strategy. Decided to just reset to an earlier save, evolve my Mudkip to Marshtomp. The extra stats are nice, and we finally got a run where we beat Brawly. That gives us an extra level, and brings us to a total of 10 battles after we've been in the second gym. Now, time to try to defeat May again. While Marshtomp can only take 2 absorbs at full health before fainting, it can beat the Wingull way more consistently, so our strategy is to use Mud Slap and lower Grovile's accuracy enough that it misses a lot, and we eventually get a run where we beat Grovile, take out the Slugma, and carry on. I won't lie, that was kind of brutal, but thankfully the game gets sort of easier after this. There are these 2 other trainers you have to fight, but they're easy. Once we get to Mauville, we have a few options on hand, but we can't progress without beating Watson. So I take care of Wally first. Then there are these 2 trainers to the east who you'll have to fight eventually later on in the game. So I take the youngster out. The Aroma Lady has 2 Roserades and a Shroomish. So rather than fight her directly afterwards, I first went to Rusturf Tunnel. Take out a hiker you'll have to fight to get strength. And then I beat Aroma Lady Rose. In the gym you only have to fight this trainer so long as you walk out after beating him. And then you can fight Watson. Watson wasn't as easy as you'd think, but overall it wasn't too bad of a fight and it only took me a few resets. You basically just use Mud Slap over and over mixed with another few moves until you win. Beating the 3rd gym puts us at 19 total battles up till now. Make sure to pick up Dig on your way to Meteor Falls. There are no further mandatory trainers aside from this hiker, until you go to battle Team Magma and Mount Chimney. The Grunts and even the Magma admin aren't too bad and go down easily. The main problem is Maxie, and he is almost as hard as May's second battle. Main reason being is that his Mightyena comes out, lowers our attack, and spams Sand Attack, so we miss against his other Pokemon. But I eventually get lucky, take the Mightyena out, and the rest of his Pokemon thankfully are not a problem in this run. A little fact here, while going down Mount Chimney, there's this Magma Grunt, and I thought you would have to fight him later on, but you don't. Later on in the game, he just vanishes, so yeah, don't fight this guy. At Lava Ridge Town, we can get an egg, giving us a second team member, which would have been great when we were fighting against Maxie, so we could have swapped out to get rid of all those sand attacks. But yeah. Anyway, there are only 2 mandatory trainers to fight in Flannery's gym before we fight Flannery herself, and the 2 trainers are easy. Flannery takes me a few attempts, but I do manage to beat her. She isn't too hard and in no way as hard as Maxie. You can make this fight more consistent by hatching the Y-Nut. You could switch if you're hit by a track, but I kind of didn't need to. That brings us to 27 battles after being the 4th gym. There's a rare candy in the desert you can pick up, and on the way I picked up the claw fossil. I knew that if I didn't mention which fossil I took, you'd all ask in the comments. Now that I think about it, ask about it anyway. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. It turns out to be an Anorith, which I named MDB Twitter, since if I'm using his jokes I should at least give him a plugin. Anorith is more useful than Lileep since it can learn both Rock Smash and Cut. Cut lets us access some items in the game, and Rock Smash means that we can delete Rock Smash from Marsh Tomp later on once we get to the move deleter. There's another rare candy you can find at the bottom of Granite Cave as long as you have a Mac Bike. And now, Norman. You have to fight 3 trainers in his gym minimum, and all of his trainers have 1 Pokemon, so I just chose whichever ones I wanted. There was no real method here. First the accuracy room, then after beating the defense room after a few tries, I used up the 2 rare candies we got, as we're very close to a full experience bar right now. Then I beat the strength room and move on to Norman. There's only one word to describe the fight with Norman: unfair. Just look at how badly we do. The thing is, I did have a strategy for him, and it would have worked if we were playing Ruby and Sapphire. He has 4 Pokemon in this game rather than 3, and that makes it all kinds of awful. Our normal strategy of using Mud Slap is very unlikely to work given that he has 4 Pokemon. So I take a break from fighting him to hatch the Y-Nut as it'll be important. I try again, but he is just awful. I really get to his Linoon, let alone his Slacking, and the thing is it takes luck to even beat his Spinda. If he had just 1 less Pokemon, I could have done this far more easily and with way more consistency. Now here's a run where I actually make it to the Slacking, and my strategy is to use Dig on the turns he can't move, so I can hit him without worrying. But the thing is, for this to work, I need to be slower than him, and I have a Quick Claw equipped, so if that activates, he gets to take me out, which eventually happens in this run. Now it's here that I almost gave up on this run. That's just how bad Norman is, and to be fair, some of the blame can be put on Gamefreak on this one. The difficulty spike between him and Flannery is immense, and again, if this were Ruby or Sapphire, I would have won. Unlike May, he has 4 Pokemon, and getting lucky that many times in a row is, as you can understand, almost impossible. But then again, the game isn't supposed to be played like this, so I can't really put all the blame on Gamefreak. If you look at his team though, you'll notice that his Linoon only has normal moves. So if we had a Ghost type, we could go ahead and use that on his Linoon, and we would have one very consistent battle against his Linoon, and that would make the fight way easier. And we can, as a matter of fact, get a Ghost type in Granite Cave, Sableye, but that would add another battle to our total. It's at this point that you kind of need to pick your poison. Do you want to break minimum battles, or do you want to just keep resetting till you get insanely lucky? There is a precedence for this in J-Rose's Pokemon Yellow run. You catches a Pidgeotto, extending the number of battles by 1 because you needed to beat Brock. I mean, when you talk about minimum battles, it can mean the battles which you would have to do, or it can mean trying to just minimize the battles so that maybe you fight 1 or 2 extra battles, but for the sake of consistency, 1 or 2 extra battles isn't that big of a deal maybe to some people. So it's here we have to ask ourselves the question, what would J-Rose do? I mean, this is his challenge being replicated on Emerald, and the thing is, I'm not sure. On the one hand, he does seem to like consistency, but his only rule to eliminate luck is the Elite Four, where he fights them all in a row without saving. And I should point out that the odds of you winning without a Sableye are so low that I almost use save states. I didn't, but that's just how abysmal your chances are. And here's a clip of me using Sableye to beat Norman. Problem is that I lost the footage, but I can still tell you how it works. Beat Spinda and Vigoroth like you would normally, then switch into Sableye on his Lanoon. Even a level 10 Sableye will eventually take it out, and the best part is that Norman wastes all of his Hyper Potions on the Lanoon. You then let Slacking take out Sableye, and in this run you don't give Marshtomp a Quick Claw, rather you give him a Soft Sand. They're consistently slower than Slacking, and you use Dig to take it out. You only really need to give it a Quick Claw to make the initial 3 fights more consistent, and if you're using a Sableye against Lanoon, a Quick Claw isn't really that necessary. You could do that, but I reset and chose to go the other route. I instead got a new strategy and went to pick up some proteins to boost my attack, and also got this PP up near Meteor Falls. Thing is, in one run I ran out of digs because he kept spamming Hyper Potions on his Slacking. Finally, I got a run where I was able to beat him. You can see the full battle to prove I didn't use save states, and also, again, I did not catch a Sableye. I take out his entire team, and on the Slacking I have a slightly different strategy. I use Rock Tomb first to lower his speed, so now even with the Quick Claw, what's happened now is though that I am consistently faster than him, so the Quick Claw does not matter anymore. And yeah, there's a chance Rock Tomb misses, so there's some more luck here, but again, the whole fight is lucky. Now, he can still beat you by basically exhausting your digs by using Hyper Potions on his Slacking, so when he's about to use a Hyper Potion, use Rock Smash to lower his defense, and on the next turn also use a Rock Smash, because that is a Truant turn, and if you use Dig, it'll take you out. And with that you can win. I got a critical hit on this run, but I wouldn't have needed it, and I would have beaten him anyway. That's a total of 31 battles after being the 5th gym. That was the hardest fight in the run, by the way. I can finally pick up some citrus berries. It was borderline cheating when even Brawly got to use them and we didn't. And if you use a Mac Bike, we don't have to fight any more trainers until we get to the Weather Institute. You can fight either a male or female Aqua Grunt, and the female Grunt has only 1 Pokemon and the male one has 2. So we go with the female. This is basically the only time in the run this ever happens. There are 2 more Grunts you have to fight before fighting Shelly, and neither of them nor Shelly are hard. It's here that we get the final member to our party we can get with minimum battles, Castform. I name it Pika Spray because he's another Poketuber, you know, I like watching, so yeah. This is the last time you have to fight May, and I put Castform in first place and give it a Citrus Berry. I make it Hail first turn, and take out Slugma with Marshtomp. When she sends out Grovyle, I switch to Castform and take it out with Powder Snow. And I get a freeze, so this took me a few attempts, but it wasn't as big a problem as the second fight with May. And finally, I managed to beat the Lombre with Marsh Tomp. I should point out I don't have Mud Slap anymore, so we can't use that strategy of lowering accuracy anymore. There's a rare candy you can get outside of Fortree City so long as you have Cut, and our Anorith does no Cut, so again, Anorith being useful here. Run away from the Kecleon so it doesn't count as an encounter, and now we can go to Winona's gym. There are 3 trainers here total we have to fight. I deposit the other members of my party so this double battle is just 2 single battles. There's a 3rd trainer who can one-shot us with Razor Leaf, but I get a lucky run. And finally evolve Marshtomp into a Swampert. We skip Winona for now and fight this one trainer we have to fight before going to Mount Pyre where we have to take out Team Aqua. I deposited the other members of my team again, so this one double battle against 2 grunts is just 2 single battles. There are 4 grunts total here, and you can get a rare candy, which I pick up. I go to Lily Cove City to get rid of Rock Smash on Swampert and teach it Strength instead. Next we have to backtrack as we can't use Fly to Jagged Pass where we get to Team Magma's hideout. As you can see, the Magma Grunt isn't here anymore, you never had to fight him. There are 8 grunts you need to beat before getting to Maxi and some items you can pick up on the way. There are some more you can get, but you'd have to beat the grunts to get them. But when you finish off Maxi, they all leave the base so you can collect them after being Maxi, so don't worry about it. Maxi this time is a joke as we have better moves and Intimidate doesn't really matter when we can switch out if our stats are lowered too much. Once this is done, you can get a lot of items, and there's a rare candy here, which is important. Now, I made a mistake and went back to Lilycove City when I should have just gone straight to Slateport first. Don't waste time like that. I go back to Slateport and then back at the Aqua hideout near Lilycove, you can get Master Ball and a Nugget without fighting any extra grunts, so that is good. There are 2 you have to fight after you get it. And you can avoid this grunt right here, which I didn't know about before. I didn't see that little tiny passage going past him, so I actually had to reset after I beat him. I take out Matt easily, by the way. There were 2 other battles also with grunts, but none of them were really worth explaining or analyzing. There's this one mandatory swimmer you have to fight on the way to Moss Deep, but even though he has a Gyarados, he isn't difficult. You can pick up a rare candy in Shoal Cave when it's high tide. When you get to the 7th gym, just deposit your other Pokemon so double battles are single battles. You don't even need to fight that many trainers as you'd think, just 5 in total before Tin and Liza. When I get to them, I don't actually fight them, and I backtrack to get some rare candies. Thing is, Ted and Liza are usually hardened runs, and so I think I might need some rare candies, and even if I don't need them against them, I will need them later on, so I might as well get them now. Anyway, I go back to Fortree City to first beat Winona. We can't actually use Fly even if we beat her, but the thing is that beating her does give us some experience before we fight Ted and Liza. She is actually quite easy, and this goes to show that Norman really was programmed to be far too difficult in this game. Beating her puts us at 61 battles total. We fought 34 battles in this stretch of the game since beating Norman, while we only fought 27 when we beat Norman. But yeah, let that sink in. Also, you can go to the abandoned ship to get the TM for Ice Beam. I'd like to take a moment and talk about this route right here. The route before this has rainy weather, and so does the route before this towards Fortree City. But as you get here, suddenly the sun comes shining out, and you're greeted by the nicest looking scene in the entire game. You can see the reflection of the clouds moving in the water below. And over here you can even see the reflection of the berry trees in the water. I know that really seems like a small thing to be amazed by, but at the time I was really wowed by the imagery here when I first played these games. I'm talking about this because I feel like I need to say something nice about these games because I don't want to sound too negative about them. I mean, don't get the wrong idea, though I am criticizing parts of them. I do really like these games. They were the first ones I played, and I grew up playing Ruby and Sapphire, much like a lot of people did with Red and Blue. If I didn't like them, I wouldn't be making this video in the first place. So yeah, I felt like taking some time to, sniff the flowers and just appreciate one of the aspects of the game which I really like. Overall, I like how this route looks, and the only thing missing here I think is a rainbow, but it still looks amazing even all these years later. Anyway, let's get back to the run. For Ted and Liza, my strategy is that I give Castform a Quick Claw and Swampert Mystic Water. If the Quick Claw activates, then Castform can use Rain Dance and Swampert just spams Surf. And guess what? This works. I was actually surprised it only took a few attempts to get this right. I won the first time Castform was able to use Rain Dance. I thought I would have to use some of my rare candies here, but no, this was surprisingly easy. This brings our battle total to 63. Yes, I'm counting double battles as 2 battles for this run. Next, we go to the Space Center where you have to fight 5 Magma Grunts in total before facing the boss. You have to take 3 on a row on the second floor, but they're so weak that they're no challenge at all. I find it hilarious though how they actually ask you if you really want to fight them and you have a chance to, go back. It's just crazy. So instead of talking about the fights, let me just explain why I'm counting double battles as 2 battles. Because there are a lot of trainers in Emerald which you can either fight one by one or as a single double battle, and I don't think either of those things is inherently any different. And anyway, it's in the name. A double battle is basically the equivalent of 2 battles. So yeah, I'm counting all double battles in the game as 2 battles for consistency. Then we have to take down Maxie and Tabitha, and again I'll count this as 2 battles rather than 1. The only trainer we have to fight after we get Dive is Archie himself, and he poses no serious challenge at all. Then we have to do the thing where we go find Rayquaza, and as a side note, I find it hilarious how Wallace asks you where Rayquaza might be. If you give him a wrong answer, he dismisses it until you say Sky Pillar. Like, if he could think that up on his own, why did he have to ask us? Anyway, we go and get Rayquaza to get Groundnut and Kyogre to stop fighting, but we aren't done with Rayquaza yet. No, as you might have guessed, if we want to beat Steven, we're gonna have to catch Rayquaza. And I do that immediately with our Master Ball. Yes, this adds a battle to our total, but without Rayquaza, we have no chance of beating Steven. So this is basically required, just like that Pidgeotto was in J-Rose's yellow version run. I then get Thunderbolt, which Watson gives out once you switch the generator's power off. Now, just in case you're wondering if we could at least beat the Elite Four without Rayquaza, wait till the end of this video, where I discuss that. The only mandatory fight in Juan's gym is Juan himself, and he is easy. I send out Swampert against Kingdra just to see how Swampert would fare in a fight against Kingdra, and the answer is not very well at all. But I do win. Total number of battles fought up till now is 73, including one with Rayquaza. There are only 5 trainers left before the Elite Four that we have to fight, and Wally is one of them. None of them are worth mentioning, not even Wally. Once I get through all of this and reach the Pokemon League, I get a few revives. Our best move is Outrage, and it can confuse us, so we can switch out to a different Pokemon to get rid of confusion. But then some of our other Pokemon might faint, so we can use the revives in between battles, since we can use items in between battles. J-Rose does not save between Elite Four members, and neither will I. You can see the whole Elite Four run right here without any saves in between. Honestly though, none of them are really worth mentioning, so I'll talk about something else instead. In case you're wondering, this is my first attempt and I was not really trying that hard. Anyway, I mean, Rayquaza doesn't even have a held item here. I want to talk about something else. Up till now, we have 9 rare candies. There's another one you can get once you have Waterfall with an Acro Bike, but I never got around to getting it in this run. There's another rare candy you can get once you beat the Elite Four in the Safari Zone, but I never get around to getting that either. This is going to be important when I'm talking about a Swampert only run later on in this video. And with that, finally, we are now Pokemon League champion. But obviously we can't call ourselves the best trainer in Hoenn without beating Steven first. After beating the Elite Four, you can go directly to Steven, there are no mandatory trainers in between. I go ahead and use up all 9 of my rare candies before battling him. And again, I missed out on 2 rare candies here, so I could have been at a higher level. I also taught Rayquaza Ice Beam and Earthquake. In the end, the battle is kind of luck based as you can see, but it only took me 2 tries to beat Steven. And with that, our run is over and it took a total of 84 battles to beat the game. 84 battles is the theoretical minimum, 83 plus 1 the battle we had to catch Rayquaza. That's the least number of battles to beat Emerald without using items. It would be 85 if you caught a Sableye to make the normal battle more consistent, and if you're playing on an actual cartridge, I highly recommend doing that. I mean, I did manage to get a run without using save states, but the thing is, I was really close to doing that. Norman was without a doubt the worst part of this challenge. Now this is the minimum number of battles, of course, because if you chose Torchic or Trico, you'd have to add another battle, you know, to get Surf and Waterfall. So yeah, you have to pick Mudkip. So yeah, 84 is the minimum here. And honestly, I just want to say that Emerald is one of the worst games to do this challenge on. You only get 2 Pokemon in the entire run, an egg with a Wyna, which is basically useless, and a Castform. You can also get a Fossil, and you can teach Unearth, Rock Smash, and Cut, which sort of helps, but that's it. And so all the other HM moves that you need to teach, you have to teach to your starter. Unlike Red and Blue, you can't get Pokemon at the game corner. You do get a Beldum after you beat the Elite Four, but that's basically useless at that point, and I didn't even bother. Also, the AI is much better than that of Red and Blue, so there isn't much we can exploit there. The game isn't that difficult though, aside from maybe Norman. If we had a few more rare candies before fighting him available to us, given that we didn't need to use all of them later on, it would have made the fight less luck reliant. There were 2 rare candies we could have gotten technically, but we would have had to fight trainers to get them, so they were out of the question. And I mean, if we had to fight trainers, we might as well have just added 1 battle with the Sableye, which would have let us beat him way more consistently. And now, for some bonus content. What if we lowered our expectations and made the bar for beating the game beating just the Elite Four? Would we be able to then beat the game without using Rayquaza? I was about 99% sure that we couldn't, and here's why. These are our stats before the Huan fight of our Swampert. And we get 26,000 experience points all the way from beating Huan to the entrance of the Elite Four. That would mean our Swampert would be about level 49 before entering the Elite Four. And if you gain about a level per Elite Four member, you would be level 53 before facing Wallace. Now if you use up all 10 rare candies you can get, you would then be level 63. But that's being quite generous. Like I showed you guys, if you fight Juan with Swampert, you have trouble beating just his Kingdra. But my guess is you would probably need to use a few rare candies to beat him. And maybe you would get more than a level per Elite Four member, so on the other hand you might be at a slightly higher level and it might cancel out the fact that you used some rare candies earlier. But I don't think you'd be higher than maybe level 64 or 65. And that really wouldn't make that much of a difference. The reason is that you need 4 HM moves to get past Victory Road: Rock Smash, Waterfall, Strength, and Surf. Given we don't have Fly, since we didn't catch Rayquaza in this run, to get back to the Pokemon League will require us to have all 4 of those moves. We can only teach one of them to our other Pokemon, namely Rock Smash to our Anorith. As such, 3 of Swampert's moves are already taken. One of them, Waterfall, is practically useless compared to Surf. Strength isn't too bad, but there are better moves like Return that we could have taught to it. So you can only teach Swampert one more move. That would most likely either be Ice Beam or Earthquake. Now Swampert learns Earthquake by level up, so you could in theory go through the Elite Four knowing Earthquake, erase it for Ice Beam when you fight Drake, and then teach it Earthquake using a TM. That's all theoretically possible, but even then, would you be able to beat Wallace? What I did was reset the game to before I beat Steven, and train Swampert using an EXP share and fighting the Elite Four over and over until it was level 62. I feel level 62 is, sort of reasonable. I feel like you wouldn't really be a level higher than that, and even if you would, maybe just 1 or 2 levels, and that wouldn't make that much of a difference. Now, let's go ahead and see how we fare against Wallace. Though I have Rayquaza in my team, I will not be using it in this fight, and Swampert knows 3 HM moves like it would have to had we only used Swampert and never gotten Rayquaza. As you can see, we get taken out by his Ludicolo easy. But, as long as we have Quick Claw and enough luck with critical hits, we can always win in theory. I mean, it is basically impossible though, so I went ahead and used save states. The challenge was already over and I just wanted to see, if it was theoretically possible to beat Wallace. First we get lucky with Wailord and it misses Blizzard and we take it out with 2 Earthquakes. We get lucky on Ludicolo and it doesn't even scratch us. Tentacruel has to miss Toxic and we get an Earthquake in. Wishcast is taken down easily. When Gyarados comes around we switch out to get rid of our lowered attack, and if we're lucky we can take it out. To take out Milotic, we need both our Quick Claw to activate and also to get a critical hit with Earthquake, and I reset until that happens. So yeah, it is theoretically possible to beat the Elite Four without even catching Rayquaza. However, using save states is pretty much cheating since you can't do that in-game. So let's look at our odds here for a second. When I started to use save states, it took me 2 tries to get past the Wailord, 1 try to get past the Ludicolo, 5 tries to get past Tentacruel, 1 try versus Wishcast, 8 tries versus Gyarados, and 45 versus Milotic. Taking probability into account, that means that without save states, that would take 3,600 tries to beat Wallace to get a similar sequence of events. And I'm probably underestimating how many times you would have to try, since I got rather lucky with the Wailord and Ludicolo on my very first attempts with save states. I don't show you guys all of the failed attempts of course, and only showed the successful battles. If you assume 2 minutes per try on average, which is reasonable given that there is some dialogue you have to go through at the beginning, that would mean it would take you 7,200 minutes to beat Wallace, which is 120 hours of playtime just for Wallace if you're not using speed up. That is a full 5 days, by the way, for just beating Champion Wallace. If you don't save in between Elite Four members, much like J-Rose does not, that number goes up exponentially, as it will take you a few tries to beat some of them, and you would have to multiply the tries needed for each Elite Four member with the number we just got. And yeah, maybe Swampert would be at a slightly higher level, perhaps as high as 65, but that wouldn't make the Wallace fight much easier. I actually think 62 is quite reasonable, given that I think you'd have to use some rare candies in the middle of the Elite Four based on what I know. You would not be able to beat Wallace with Swampert with any consistency until your level is in the 70s, which is definitely not going to happen. And even if you beat Wallace, yeah, you're not going to beat Steven. And you might argue, sure, that you can save in between Elite Four members because J-Rose's rule for that is kind of arbitrary. The game does let you do that, so I mean, sure, you could do that. But even then, it would take far too long just to beat Wallace. Really, even if you set the goal to just beating the Elite Four, the only consistent way to do it is to just go ahead and catch Rayquaza. And that's really the problem. If you basically try to do this with just Swampert, it is borderline impossible. And if you go ahead and catch Rayquaza, it is a cakewalk. And there's like no middle ground there. where you have to use some sort of strategy or anything. It's either impossible or super easy. And that's kind of annoying, but that's just how it is, guys. But yeah, it is possible theoretically to beat the game with only 82 battles, which is the absolute minimum possible. That's 2 less than 84 because we're not getting Rayquaza, and we're also not fighting Steven in this run. Granted, I did not actually do all of this, so I don't know if it actually is possible, but the numbers seem to suggest you could do it with Swampert. I only challenged and analyzed Wallace because if we couldn't beat him, then there was no point in beating the other trainers. But yeah, good luck ever getting a run like that to work, because you are really going to need it. It's honestly so inconsistent I don't even think it should count, and yeah, you would have to catch Rayquaza. Anyway, this has been quite a long video, so thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, even if it was exhausting and frustrating at some points. So yeah, thanks for watching. Do please leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I don't know if I'll be doing more Pokemon videos. I mean, I don't normally do Pokemon challenges. I only did it because I hit 40k subscribers and I thought, maybe I'll try something new. But who knows? I mean, if you have some ideas you'd like me to do, leave them down below. Again, thanks for watching.